Are you wondering what exactly price cuts mean? Well, it's exactly what it says. Housing prices are being butchered and ripped apart left to right, which may seem pleasant to buyers like an early clearance sale. But do you think this practice would sustain the market? Eventually, all good things come to an end. The underlying beast of a problem that is sidelined by these price slashes is the inflation within the housing market that is bound to fall apart like a house of cards anytime soon. Honesty and integrity is our policy, and so I do not intend to dilute any information. The 2023 to 2024 housing market crash is coming, and the impact is going to be more than what you would anticipate. Do you need the latest, most freshest data from the Morgage Bankers of America? According to their latest reports, the MBA index, which is basically a report that tracks how many people are applying for mortgage loans each week, had just hit a record low of 178.6, and this is the lowest recorded MBA index since 1995. This decline is so huge and drastic that the housing market might be at a risky place with such low demand. You might be wondering why, and if people don't want houses anymore. Well, there are quite a number of factors actively reacting to create this whole crisis. But one of the biggest issues is the insane interest rate hike, with interest rates rising higher than a skateboarder on a half-pipe. Homebuyers are getting spooked out, and they're pulling back. Low demand, low supply equals to a balanced market, and that's simply how the market should be handled right now. When demand for houses is low, the only way for prices to stay stable or even go higher is if the supply of homes also drops to match the low demand. And the housing market has been embracing this and trying to create an equilibrium for a whole year, where the supply levels have remained just as low as the demand. And when supply and demand are balanced, prices tend to stay stable. When they go low, you go lower? Not in this market anymore. Now we've reached a point where demand is so low, we can't really go much lower than where we're at. Or should we say, the market has hit rock bottom, or really close to. That means we're at a bit of a standstill, with no clear direction for the market. It's like we're waiting for something good to happen, but nobody is sure of how to proceed without being at risk. So why is this happening? Again, there are a lot of active factors at play. Experts say it might have to do with the economic instability right now. So many people are losing their jobs or having their income reduced right now, and buying a house is hardly their main goal. And if people aren't buying houses, what are sellers for with their houses on the market? However, the blame cannot be solely put against the economy. Demographics play a part in this as well. The rising preference of living is in the urban areas more than the suburbs, and this has led to the rise in prices in urban areas. High demand, high prices. While it's true that the supply has been historically low for a while, things are finally starting to change. As of now, there are 534,906 active listings, but let me tell you, that's just the tip of the iceberg. This information is not just mere words. We've done some deep research on this topic. What we are able to find by digging around the housing dirt is a phrase called months of supply. This is so crucial for the future prediction of the market, and it's not looking good right now. The months of supply are starting to decrease rapidly. What does that mean? It simply means there might not be enough houses to go around soon, and it's starting to look like a bleak scenario. Not only are there normal house buyers in the scene, but also major companies and huge investors that are showing growing interest in the housing market. Again, this means prices may go up. So if you're planning on buying that dream house, you better act fast, or your dream might have to take a longer route. The choice is yours. Let's take a dive into some nitty-gritty info that might burn a little in the months of supply section. Honestly, its current state doesn't presumably look that good. Remember the mini crash we had last winter? Yeah, it's worse than that, sitting currently at 3.1 months. In this context, worse means higher, and it's only going to go up even more. All of this means that there's so much inventory floating around and not enough buyers to get a good scoop out of it and grasp all that money. What happens next is that sellers start to panic and dump their houses on the market, and all that does is end up messing up the market even more. The depth of the mess I'm talking about is a possible full-blown crash in the market. Believe it or not, this could happen even with low supply. Demand is the key. The situation right now is that demand is at an all-time low. Now, let's talk about low liquidity. What's low liquidity? This is an inbuilt issue in the market that makes transaction processes super hard and tiring even when everything is going smoothly. You know that feeling when you buy a house for $300,000 and then have to sell it before you can even think about moving in on your next purchase? That's what we're talking about here. This is a major issue for sellers because lack of liquidity is an issue the housing market always faces, especially since this market is an ever-changing dynamic. If the house doesn't sell in the season their price point is set to, changing the price to match the current market can be like a kick in the gut. This is not only a kick in the gut to the seller, but to the market as well, because this overinflated pricing is just not sustainable. The worst part is yet to come. Experts say this is going to be worse in the coming years, and this problem isn't going away anytime soon. It is time for buyers and sellers to suit up and lay the best plan with tactics to navigate this rough patch in the housing market. If you are not cautious enough, it could end badly. Huge price movements can be easily triggered by a few transactions, and that is because of the weak demand and the obviously low supply in the market. If this spike happens, the future buyers are going to freak out. The market is frozen. It's obvious, and top corporate leaders are talking about it, but that's not the bigger picture here. This frozen market is just leading us towards a much larger and grave issue. It's been staring at us right in the face, but not many people are willing to admit it. And unfortunately, this crash will likely start alongside this frozen market. The most important fact is that this is not just some wild speculation. Facts and figures are readily available as proof to back up these stated facts. For example, the median home price in the United States dropped by 2.8% from its all-time high in March of 2023. And with the current state of the housing market, we'll likely continue to see a decline in prices. There are two ways this could go wrong. First scenario is when supply is low, and then this forces the price points to rise. And you know how that's gonna end. You thought right. Less demand to purchase. Scenario 2 would be no demand, price plummeting, and crashing the market. Either way, the market crashes. This vicious cycle is so hard to break out of. This is why we need to stop thinking short-term and focus on the long-term pros. Remember I said demand is key. We must boost demand and incentivize people to buy homes. For this, tax breaks or other financial incentives can be taken into play. The housing market is riding through the phase called speculation and fear, which means that investors and speculators are hyped up about selling and buying stock in the fear of missing out. On the contrary, this is going to make the prices go ragged rather than smooth. This will blur the line between knowing if it's a good investment or not. What this speculative behavior does, on contrary, is create a fake bubble that will create insanely distorted price points, which will not sustain over time. And when the time comes, it will all crumble and fall, making things even worse. And it will be the consequences of the irrational, greed-led decision-making. A life quote would come in handy at a time like this. So take a step back and look at the big picture. If you get caught up with the irrational, the reality will take a turn. So my prime advice right now to anyone who is panicking is to stay calm. If you rush now, you will regret it. Most of all, remember what would matter in the long run. Thank you so much for watching.